Today on the Wedge Yard, we're talking about the Split Fire 4413. I'm going to tell you all about it. I've got information. You need to hear it. We're going to talk about the company and all the other products they have. Here we go. There it is, 4413 Split Fire. Now I used this machine on another video I did, I don't know, a while ago, like a week, two ago, something like that. Today we're going to do another one. Now the first video I did, which you should have seen, was all about just finding out what it was like. I didn't really do any research. I didn't read up about it. I didn't know how everything worked on it. I just wanted to try it. I'm that guy. I'm not a directions kind of guy. I'm pretty much, let's open it up, put it together and see if we can make it work. That kind of guy. So that's what I did. So we cut some rounds and we did some splitting. Did about a third of a cord, a face cord, something like that. And the machine runs really great. So then what I did this morning is I went online. I went to their website. You can check it out too, splitfire.com. And I found out about all the different things that are on this machine. I did not know it when I got this, but this is like their top of the line machine. And the base price on this is only like $6,300 or $6,500, something like that. But then this has got a lot of upgrades. And I'm gonna tell you all about the upgrades that are on here and why I would want these upgrades too. So the total price on this machine, somewhere around 9 grand. Not bad at all, considering it's a professional model. Now the first time I saw one of these, I was in Indiana, and one of the guys that came to Indiana to the Hoosier Fest had brought a split fire. I've never seen him before. And the first thing I noticed, he was splitting both directions. I thought, no, that is a good idea. That is cool. And that was the first time I saw that. And that was probably 2 years ago. And then since then, my buddy Tony, you guys know Tony from Tony's Cool Tools, he has a split fire. He has the vertical one. And the vertical one, it's a smaller unit. I think the price on that is like less than 2,500 bucks. Very cool, kind of like a consumer type model, but it's a vertical splitter. And it's 7.5 tons, something like that. We'll talk about that a little later on. So then I started doing research to find out what else they have. They've got a lot of stuff. And today we're gonna talk about this one and then show you all about all the other products that they have and talk about it. So like I said, this 4413 is actually an upgraded package. The 13 stands for the bigger tires, because you put bigger tires on it instead of the small little 8-inchers. It raises everything up, so you got more of a, I believe, the right height to work in. Now some people like it low, I like it a little higher, so I can stand there and work at it comfortably. This also has the log lift, and because it's got the bigger package, it also has the Honda GX390. So because of the bigger engine and the upgrades on all the things they have with the cylinders and the pumps, this is what they consider their high flow kit. Now it takes the base price on this machine from $6,500 up to about $9,000, which is still very reasonable considering it's such a heavy duty machine, and a lot of other manufacturers out there cost quite a bit more than what this machine does. This also has a drop tongue because of the added height, so that you can drop down so you can get it to the height you need it to be, along with the log lift and along with both wedges, the single and the 4-way, which is pinned right back here. It just pins right on there, which is really cool. So yeah, this is the more high grade setup and it is nice. That also includes, I think you got to add on the light kit too. So the light kit adds a little bit more. So like I said, all in, it's around 9 grand, not too shabby. So this machine, I believe this has the 36-inch wide platform here. You can get anywhere from 24 to 48-inch stroke length. It does split in both directions. Because of the high flow setup that's on here with the bigger engine, the bigger valves, the bigger pump, this reduces the stroke time from 11 to 7 seconds, and that's to go all the way here, all the way back. But remember, this splits in both directions. You split one way, you're like at 3.5 seconds. You split the other way at 3.5 seconds. So it is quick, and you can be splitting all the time. So you're not just waiting for that stroke to be returned. It goes both ways. It's got a real nice block catch on both ends. What I've noticed from a lot of splitters is their plates, as far as holding the wood in place, they're not super good with the dots. I prefer something a little more rugged like this, and it bites really good into the wood. It does not move. I never had one slip out, whereas on other machines I've used in the past, you get a push plate that's fairly smooth or just has some buttons on it, some little bumps. If you get a crooked cut, it can squirt out in you. With this, it's not going anywhere. Works really good. So besides having the two wedges, they swap out super fast. It's just a button you push here, pops right out. There's no bolts, there's no wrenches needed. You can do it with your finger. It's super fast, super easy. This is how it works. You push this button out, You lift up your wedge, put the other one on, push your button back in. This is how fast it is. Unbelievably easy. That's it. Faster wedge change than any other splitter I've ever used, period. It just works awesome. And like I mentioned, it's got the log lift, it's got the high output goodies on here for the increase in the flow, the high flow, the bigger engine, the trailer package with the lights and the bigger wheels, and this machine just works. Now, this is considered top of the line, and depending on what you get for options on the machine, the price can vary like a lot. It can go up and down depending on what you want. Now you can get the base one and it's not going to cost you much at all. You can add whatever you want. They're very flexible on what they can add to the machine. All kinds of things you can do to upgrade, and that is cool because if you want a base model, you can get it. If you want to add things onto it, you can get that too. So very cool. Now we're going to talk about some of their other machines. This, like I said, is more of their top of the line type model. This happens to be a 32-ton splitter. Yes, 32, you heard that right. Now their little vertical one is a 7.5 ton, which is their smallest machine. And that's mainly for doing resplits or smaller pieces. And then if you go to their base model of horizontal splitter, the cost on that is right around $2,600. So they have quite a few different machines that you can choose from. So I wrote down on this pink piece of paper all the things that I need to tell you about because I did not know this until I went and looked. First of all, they're made in Norwich, Ontario, Canada, up North Derry. They have 6 different splitters ranging from 18 to 32 tons. I said 20, it was actually 18 tons. So 6 different ones. One of them is the vertical one, but that's only 7.5 tons. But their horizontal ones range from 18 to 32 tons. This is a 32. And they all have the ability to add customization and upgrade. So you can do a lot of the different things that you might be interested in to any of their machines. They also have 5 3-point hitch log splitters. So ones that would go on the back of your 3-point with the power takeoff. They have 5 of them and they range from 18 to 32 tons. They also have 4 skid steer log splitters ranging from 20 to 32 tons. Now the skid steer log splitters are the top loading ones. So they would run on a skid steer, but you load them on the top just like you would this. And then they have 6 inverted skid steer splitters ranging from 20 to, get this, 50 tons. You heard that right, 50 tons. Now those are the ones where you can drive up to the log, you drop it on and it splits it underneath. So they've got some big ones. They also have, this is something that's very cool, they also have 4 excavator log splitters ranging from 20 to 50 tons. Yes, you heard that right again, 50 tons, 50. They also have 2 wood chippers available. They're both 4 inches. One's gas powered and one is PTO powered. So they have 1 of each. They also have 4 dump buckets ranging from 48 to 60 inches. 4 of them for the front of the tractor or the front of the skid steer. And they are a unique kind of bucket. Pretty much made for doing firewood. They're not a traditional bucket in the sense that they have a slope to the back from the front up down. They're more flat. So the way you can load them is you can have everything flat on them. And again, lots of different sizes. So they have the 2 front loading ones for the front of the tractor or skid steer. And then they also have 2 that are 3-point buckets, or what I would call a hauling deck, basically. Because it's not something you're going to dig into a pile with. It's more for hauling materials and equipment around. I'm sure you can dig into a pile of stuff. But if you go online and look at it, it's more of a 90-degree back wall, flat wall, and then sides. Similar to what like a snow pusher would be, except they got a big long trough up front that you can stack stuff into. Really cool design. And if you're doing heavy material handling from, mulch to rocks to gravel, sand, firewood especially, it would be very cool. And there's a chance I might be getting one of those someday to try out, to show you guys. And like I said, they range from 48 to 60 inches. They also have what's called a bucking grapple. They call it a Bucket XL. And it is basically I don't know how to describe it. You got to see it, but it's very cool. You can go into a log from the end of a log and you can grab it and pick it up and then cut with it. So very cool. Again, they have that set up to where you can put different size logs into it. I thought it was a very unique design, and someday maybe I'll get to use one of those too. Like I said, their splitters range from $2,500 to $9,000. So Very reasonable, because as you know, if you're doing research on splitters, you can not find too many of them for less than $5,000. Most of them start at $5,000 to $6,000, all the way up into tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen splitters that go for $30,000. This will do the work that those do. Just saying, you might want to check them out. Pretty darn cool. So there you go. That's some of the numbers about the company. Now it's time to cut some wood and do some splitting. So here's another one of the features I totally forgot to mention. It has a double wheel, so it rolls much easier. I just rolled it over here on the concrete. And then this jack can go down, and then back here, I'll show you right now. I'm gonna pull this pin back here so I can get at it. There we go. Pull this pin back here, and it's got a leg that drops down that you can take the weight off of the wheel so it's not moving on you. And you got this stability leg underneath here. So I just thought I'd show you that, how it swings out, and then it pins up all the way down for transport. So that pin is in there. And also the tongue right here, it's a drop tongue. This can be taken off. There is 2 bolts you have to take off, and you can take this off so you can get this out of your way if you don't want it on here. So if you're like in a permanent spot where you're splitting and you're bringing the wood to you, you could take this off so you can walk around it very easily. And that would save some space as far as storage too. You could easily take this off and just set it to the side. So there's that. So now we're going to do some cutting and some splitting. So you just crank this down, and eventually that leg is making contact, and it's going to raise this up. So now it's nice and solid, and it's not on the wheels rolling around on you. So there it is in place. right, so we got the rounds cut up. I cut a couple littler ones, a couple bigger ones, so we got a variety here. We're gonna start out with the single wedge and cut up some of the bigger ones first. I should say split up some of the bigger ones first, at least that's the plan. And we're gonna fire up the Honda engine, the GX390 on the split fire 4413. I just took off my helmet, Protus helmet, in case you guys wanna know. I had Clogger zeros on the pants, saw pants, took off my Hikes boots, and I'm back into comfort because it's about 95 degrees and not much of a wind today, and I'm in the sun, so I'm roasting. I'm glad this wasn't a cut all day kind of job because my thong is wet. It's time to go. It's time to split. Here we go. So we're gonna choke it, turn it on. Let's see, let's back off the gas just a little bit and give her a pull. Until it's a Honda engine, she fires right up. All right, let's get splitting. Well, there it is. It's a split fire 4413, second splitting job. Did about the same amount, probably a third of a cord. And I did some with the single wedge, probably most of it, and then some with the 4-way. Now, the single is really nice and smooth, cuts the wood really good, good for the, you know, the knotty nasties. Then I put the 4-way on. I did have a couple knotty ones. What I found happens is that when you're splitting, going whichever direction, and you get one that's real stringy and knotty and it doesn't just cleanly split off, these little lips they got here, they're on this top, these little wings to push the wood up and out. The wood gets caught on this edge once in a while, so you got to pry it off. But that's really true of any splitter. When you get stringy stuff or knotty stuff and it just doesn't separate, it just doesn't cooperate, so to speak, and you got to fight it. So then what I had to end up doing, instead of going all the way with the wedge and then putting another piece in and then clearing it, because I just couldn't get it all the way off, I had to pry them off, which is not that big of a deal, but it's one of those little things. And the next time I run this, I hope to have somebody helping me clear the wood to see how much production we can get done. Because by yourself, you just don't have enough hands, because you got to load a piece, hit the lever for the ram to go one way, and then you're using your other hand to clear pieces, and then by the time it gets over there, you're trying to grab the bottom piece and bring it back around so you can split the other way. So it's almost faster than you can move your hands as far as, you know, moving the material, because like I've said many times, when it comes to any splitter or any processor, you are almost always the weak link. I am anyway. I don't know if you're a weak link. I'm a weak link, a weak link too. Because you can't move your hands fast enough to get the material out of the way, because generally what happens is you either got too much stuff piled up that you can't get at it decently, like in front of where the lift would be here, or you've got so much material out in the end there, you got to put it somewhere. And I guess in the future, what I would do is I would probably take off the front tongue, because that's removable, and then put the big bucket right here, or put the bucket right up to it, and then I could throw it right into the bucket. But I just wanted to run this thing today because I had some time and I figured I would give it another try here. The log lift, to me, log lifts basically are just an extension of the table so you can store material. So you got to roll it or fight it and wrestle it to get it over to the lift, up and set it on here, which is why I have big saws. When I say big saws, I mean big saws. I have some of the biggest saws made. I've got two 3120s. I've got a 592, and I've got a couple 572s. I got saws plenty big for ripping. And if you got a sharp chain, ripping is not that hard. For the amount of time it takes me to rip something is easier on my body than wrestling a great big monster piece. I know you guys see the videos of guys splitting those big 30, 40, 50 inches, you know, where they spend a week getting it up there and then the two splits fall in half and they fall to the ground. You got to pick them back up again. To me, that's a waste of time. Use your saw, the whole log, without even cutting it. You cut it to pieces, 16 inch or 18, whatever size you cut them, so you can handle them. And if it's a round that's 300, 400, 500 pounds, you still got to handle it to get it on here. My opinion, and I know I'm crazy, but I like to be able to lift the wood, which means 100 pounds or so. I don't want to lift any more than that. I can, but I don't really want to. And even though the log lifts go right to the ground, you still got to get those big Muhammad Jamas up on here somehow. And then when you go to lift them up, sometimes they fall off the log lift because they're so tippy. If they're that big, rip them. There, I'm off my soapbox now. So the machine's working really good. Honda engine, of course, runs great. It's got plenty of power to power through anything. Nice solid platform. I like the fact that you can split both directions. That works out really cool. So pretty dang cool splitter. Split Force 4413. That's all I got for today, folks. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. with another video. Right now, go watch the rest of the videos. You got work to do. There's 1,900 waiting for you. Good night, everyone.